Monolith. Written by Warren Walker. Read by Warren Walker. Deep crimson is the color of the blood that flows through his veins. An entirely unholy beast, not of this world. Something from the dark reaches of space and time, perhaps created by the subconscious thoughts of a race higher than ours. He does not so much watch us, for we are entirely meaningless to him. The mere existence of the being demolishes any human conception one might acquire of the divine. He had no form, no spirit. Nothing about him was an idea that humans have even conceptualized yet, for he was entirely beyond our realm of existence. Even his very existence was a questionable concept. But in spite of all this, he was speaking to the mechanic. Perhaps not intentionally, or perhaps because on that particular moment in time, it bemused him to do so. He showed the mechanic many things unfit for human eyes. He told of dark and unholy things. He told the tales of the Elder Ones and the idiot god who was cast from their ranks. He told of machines fueled by planets. He told of planets which acted as hearts for greater beings. He told secrets of the arcane. He told of dimensions where there were no planets. Long black tendrils, ever-shifting visages of nightmarish faces, the secrets of movement in a way which humans could not conceive of, the idea of being beyond time itself. The mechanic awoke in a cold sweat. His heart raced at 1,000 miles per hour as he panted. Water. He needed water badly. What had he been dreaming about? It was already forgotten. Well, almost already forgotten. All except a single visage of the city in which he had lived. And it frightened him. Would his small town back home truly look like that? What had it even looked like? The mechanic had forgotten already, only bearing the ghosts of stray thought processes floating around his mind like a cup of egg white might float in the ocean after being there 1,000 years. A gaping translucent barrier was the only thing holding in oxygen for the dance hall. It provided a stunning view of the void beyond and far below them, the earth. Its majestic form, ever spinning on its axle as it slowly made its rotation around the sun, with the space station simply caught in its gravitational pull. A throng of people sat before the window, fascinated and mesmerized by the planet. Some had come exclusively for that view. Some spent every penny they had to live there and see it every day. Others had simply glanced at it and moved on. Those that had moved on danced beneath the fluorescent artificial chamber, twirling and spinning, their movements mirroring that of the planet's rotation, as their feet seemed to find the exact place in the universe they needed to be in order to perform a cohesive dance. Young men smiled, outstretching their arms and beckoning partners. The womenfolk giggled as they accepted, and were brought into an embrace. The world as seen from their eyes, both young and young at heart, swirled. It was like a Faustian kaleidoscope, driven by the beat of a synth making love to Beethoven's classics. Laughter trickled from their lips, and drink flowed down their gullets, further loosening the party. The attire they wore was nothing but holographic projections, a trick of the light. They bent these bright little particles and fashioned them to look like old medieval clothes. It looked as if the ghosts of ancient noble folk had come out to play in the stars, or perhaps this was where their souls went after death. But it wasn't. Compared to those of medieval time whose bones had long since rotted, these folks were young. Even the most ancient in the room would have been considered a mere whippersnapper by the souls of those who fought beneath ancient kings and emperors. But these young folk, for a brief night, could pretend as if they were noble. Most of them had come from middle-class backgrounds, taken to the stars in the promise of a vacation from their standard and dull lives. It was all over in a mere instant. The between the stars had formed into something solid yet unseen. It pierced the plasma barrier of the window like a spear, crashing into the dance hall beneath. The young folk turned wide-eyed, unsure of what they were seeing. Its shape was sharp, yet utterly undefinable. It was such pure darkness that it seemed to soak up the light around it, like the inverse of a flashlight. For several minutes there was nothing. The crowd watched the dark thing with bated breaths, as if the slightest tinge of movement might bring the entire world to an end. Slowly something came to be in front of their eyes. It did not seem as if the figure had materialized, but rather as if their eyes had adjusted to the darkness. Red tentacles spilled forth from underneath its robes interwoven with unknown symbols of ancient and interplanetary esoterica. The dark crimson fabric stood out from the inky seat on which it sat. It looked at them with its singular eye, and though it had no mouth, they felt as if it did. Let the feast begin.